The Saturday sun shone bright over the city park. Families walked along the paths. Children played near the fountain. The sound of laughter filled the air. Minho sat in his wheelchair near the water. He was 7 years old. His small hands held tight to a red balloon string. The balloon bobbed above his head in the gentle wind. His mother had bought it for him just 20 minutes ago. Minho loved that balloon. It was bright red, his favorite color. He watched it dance in the air above him. His face showed pure joy. His cerebral palsy made it hard for him to control his movements. His hands shook sometimes, but right now he was happy.
He had his balloon and the day was beautiful. His mother, Seo Yan, sat on a bench nearby.
She watched her son with loving eyes. She knew how much the simple things meant to him. A balloon. A sunny day. These were treasures to Minho. She smiled as she watched him talk to the balloon, telling it about the ducks in the pond. A strong gust of wind suddenly blew through the park. It came without warning. The balloon pulled hard against Minho's weak grip. He tried to hold on. His fingers tried to close tighter around the string, but his body did not always do what he wanted it to do. The string slipped from his hand. "No," Minho cried out. His voice was loud but unclear. The cerebral palsy affected his speech too, but the pain in that word was clear to anyone who heard it. The red balloon flew up into the sky. It climbed higher and higher. Minho watched it go. His eyes filled with tears. His small body shook as he started to cry. "My balloon," he said, tears running down his cheeks. "My balloon is gone." Seo Yan rushed to his side. She knelt down next to his wheelchair. She wrapped her arms around him. "It's okay, sweetheart," she said softly. "We can get another balloon. Don't cry." But Minho kept crying. It was not just about the balloon. It was about losing something he loved. It was about his hands not working the way he wanted them to. It was about feeling helpless. People in the park noticed the crying boy. Some looked over with sympathy. Others glanced and then looked away. A few parents whispered to each other, but no one stopped. No one came to help. They all kept walking. The balloon did not go far. A gust of wind pushed it sideways. It flew toward a group of trees near the edge of the park. The red balloon caught on a branch. It was stuck there about 20 feet off the ground. It was still visible from where Minho sat. Minho saw it. He pointed with his shaking hand. "There! Mama, there!" he said through his tears. Seo Yan looked. She saw the balloon trapped in the tree. Her heart sank. It was too high for her to reach. She was not tall enough, and she had no way to climb the tree. She looked around, hoping to see a park worker or someone who could help. Not far away, a man sat alone on a wooden bench. His name was Jae-sung. He was 32 years old. He wore dirty work clothes covered in dust and concrete powder. His hands were rough and calloused. His face showed the tiredness of a long morning of hard physical work. Jae-sung worked in construction. He had started his shift at 6 that morning. He had been carrying heavy materials, mixing concrete, and helping build the frame of a new building downtown. Now it was his lunch break. He had 30 minutes to rest before going back to work. He had bought a simple lunch from a street vendor. Rice, vegetables, and a small piece of meat. Nothing fancy. He could not afford fancy meals. He sat on the bench ready to eat. His body ached. His muscles were sore. He just wanted to eat and rest, but then he heard the crying. Jae-sung looked up. He saw the small boy in the wheelchair. He saw the mother trying to comfort him. He heard the word balloon even through the unclear speech. He followed the boy's pointing finger and saw the red balloon stuck in the tree. Jae-sung looked at his lunch. He looked at the tree. He looked at the crying child. Other people walked past. They did not stop. They did not help. But Jae-sung could not ignore it. He had been raised by a good mother who taught him to help others when he could. He thought about how sad that little boy looked. Jae-sung stood up. He left his lunch on the bench. He walked toward the tree. The tree was not very tall, but it was tall enough to be dangerous. The branches looked old. Some were thin. Jae-sung studied the tree, looking for the best way to climb it. He found a low branch that looked strong. He grabbed it and pulled himself up. Minho stopped crying for a moment. He watched the man climb the tree. Seo Yan turned and saw what was happening. Her hand went to her mouth in surprise. "Be careful," she called out to Jae-sung. Jae-sung did not answer. He focused on climbing. The bark was rough against his hands, but his hands were already rough from work. He moved carefully from one branch to another. His construction work had made him strong, but he was also tired. Each movement took effort. One branch cracked under his weight. Jae-sung quickly grabbed another branch to steady himself. He paused, making sure he was safe. Then he continued climbing. The balloon was just above him now. He reached out his hand. His fingers were inches away from the string. He stretched a little further. The branch under his feet bent. Jae-sung held his breath. He grabbed the string. Got it, he said to himself. He carefully pulled the balloon free from the smaller branches that held it. He held the string tight in his hand. Then he began to climb back down. Coming down was harder than going up. Jae-sung moved slowly. He tested each branch before putting his weight on it. His muscles burned with effort. Sweat ran down his face. But he kept going. Finally, his feet touched the ground. He held the red balloon in his hand. He walked over to Minho and his mother. Minho's face completely changed. The tears stopped. His eyes went wide with amazement. A huge smile spread across his face. It was like the sun coming out after a storm. "My balloon," Minho said, his voice filled with joy. Jae-sung knelt down beside the wheelchair. He was at eye level with the boy now. He smiled at Minho. "Here you go," Jae-sung said gently. "But we need to make sure it doesn't fly away again." Jae-sung took the string and tied it carefully to the armrest of Minho's wheelchair. He made a good knot, the kind he used at work to secure things. He made sure it was tight but also easy to untie later if needed. He wrapped the string around the metal armrest twice, then tied it again. "There," Jae-sung said. "Now it can't escape. It's safe now." Minho looked at the balloon, then at Jae-sung. His eyes were full of gratitude and wonder. "Thank you," Minho said. The words came out slowly and a bit unclear, but the meaning was crystal clear. Seo-yeon had tears in her eyes now, but they were different tears. They were tears of gratitude. She reached into her purse. "Please let me give you something," she said to Jae-sung. "You climbed that tree. You took time from your day. Please take this." She held out some money. Jae-sung stood up and gently pushed her hand away. "No, thank you," he said with a smile. "I don't need payment for helping. I just didn't want to see him sad." "It's okay." "But you could have been hurt," Seo-yeon said. "That tree was not safe." "And your lunch?" "My lunch will still be there," Jae-sung said. "And I'm fine, really. I'm just happy I could help." He looked down at Minho again. "You hold tight to that balloon now, okay?" Jae-sung said to the boy. "Hold tight to the things that are precious to you." Minho nodded, his face still glowing with happiness. Jae-sung gave them a small wave and walked back to his bench. His lunch was right where he left it. He sat down and started to eat. The food was cold now, but he did not mind. He looked over at Minho, who was talking excitedly to his mother and pointing at the balloon tied safely to his chair. Jae-sung smiled as he ate his cold lunch. The boy was happy. That made the climb worth it. That made everything worth it. Seo-yeon watched Jae-sung from across the park. She held her son close. In a world where so many people walked past, this one man had stopped. This tired worker had used his break time to climb a tree for a child he did not know. She wanted to remember his face. She wanted to remember this moment. She took out her phone and quickly snapped a photo. It was a distant shot, but she could see Jae-sung sitting on the bench eating his lunch. She could see the kindness in his tired posture. She saved the photo. "Mama, look," Minho said, pulling her attention back. "The balloon is safe now. The nice man saved it." "Yes, sweetheart," Seo-yeon said, kissing the top of his head. "He did. He was very kind." Jae-sung finished his lunch. He stood up, stretched his sore muscles, and looked at his watch. His break was over. He had to get back to the construction site. He threw away his trash and started walking toward the park exit. He did not look back at the mother and son. He did not think about thanks or rewards. He simply walked back to work, ready to finish his day. But Seo-yeon watched him go. She watched until he disappeared from view. And she thought about how one small act of kindness could mean so much. How one person choosing to care could change a whole day. Minho held his balloon string where it was tied to his chair. He touched it gently, making sure it was still there. The balloon bobbed in the wind above him, red and bright and beautiful. But this time it was not going anywhere. It was safe, and Minho smiled. 3 weeks passed since the day at the park. The morning sun rose over the city, the streets filled with cars and people going to work. In the heart of downtown, a tall glass building reached toward the sky. It had 50 floors. The building belonged to a very successful technology company. Jae-sung arrived at the construction site next to this tall building. He wore his work clothes and carried his tools. A large truck was parked nearby, full of materials. Other workers gathered around drinking coffee and talking before the day began. The project manager, Mr. Park, called everyone together. "Listen up," Mr. Park said. "We're working on the lobby today. This is an important job. The owner of this building is very particular.
He checks everything himself.
Do your best work. No mistakes," the workers nodded. They all knew what this meant. Rich building owners could be difficult. They expected perfection. One mistake could cost someone their job. "The owner sometimes comes to inspect the work," Mr. Park continued. "If you see him, be respectful. Don't talk to him unless he talks to you first. Just do your work and stay quiet." Jae-sung listened carefully. He did not worry too much. He always did good work. He took pride in what he did. He might be tired, he might be underpaid, but he never did sloppy work. The workers entered the building through a side entrance. The lobby was large and impressive. Marble covered the walls. The ceiling was high. Large windows let in natural light. But some of the marble was old and cracked. That was why they were there, to replace it with new marble. Jae-sung and 2 other workers began measuring the wall sections. They needed to know exactly where to cut the new marble pieces. Precision was important. Even a small mistake would be visible. High above them, on the 50th floor, a man sat behind a large desk. His name was Kang Dae-won. He was 45 years old. His office was huge, with windows that showed the entire city. Expensive art hung on the walls. Everything about the office showed success and wealth. But Dae-won's face showed no joy. He looked at papers on his desk, but he was not really reading them. His mind was somewhere else. He was thinking about his son. A knock came at the door. "Come in," Dae-won said. His assistant, Ms. Choi, entered. She was a professional woman in her 30s. She had worked for Dae-won for 5 years. She knew his moods well. "Your ex-wife called again," Ms. Choi said carefully. "She wants to discuss Minho's medical appointments next month." "She said it's important." Dae-won sighed. He closed his eyes for a moment. "Did she say what the appointments are for?" he asked. "Physical therapy and a consultation with a new specialist," Ms. Choi replied. "She wants you to be there if possible." "If possible," Dae-won repeated quietly. He looked at his calendar on the computer screen. Meetings filled every day. Business trips. Important calls. His life was packed with work. "Tell her I'll try," Dae-won said. "Clear what you can from my schedule for those days." Ms. Choi nodded and left the office. Dae-won leaned back in his chair. He thought about his son. Minho was 7 years old now, born with cerebral palsy. It had been a shock when the doctors first diagnosed it. Dae-won and his wife Seo-yeon had been young parents. They had not known how to handle it. Over the years they had grown apart. Dae-won threw himself into his work. He believed that making more money would help. Better doctors, better treatments, better everything. Seo-yeon wanted him home more. She wanted him to spend time with Minho, not just send money. They divorced 2 years ago. The split was not angry, just sad. They both still cared about Minho. Dae-won paid for everything his son needed. The apartment, the medical care, the special equipment. But he knew money was not the same as being there. He saw Minho once a week, sometimes twice if work allowed. Those visits filled him with both joy and guilt. Joy because his son was wonderful. Guilt because he knew he should be there more often. Dae-won stood up from his desk. He needed to clear his mind. He decided to go check on the lobby renovation. He did this often. His workers knew he was demanding. He insisted on quality. He had built his business on attention to detail. He would not accept less in his own buildings. He took the private elevator down to the lobby. When the doors opened, he heard the sounds of construction, drilling, hammering, men talking. He walked into the work area. The project manager, Mr. Park, saw him immediately. His face went pale. He rushed over. "Mr. Kang, good morning, sir. We weren't expecting you today. Everything is going well, right on schedule." Dae-won nodded. He walked slowly around the lobby, examining the work. His eyes missed nothing. He studied the new marble panels. He checked the measurements. He ran his hand along the smooth stone. "This seam here," Dae-won said, pointing to where 2 marble pieces met. "Is it aligned properly?" Mr. Park looked nervous. He pulled out a measuring tool. He checked the alignment. "It's within the standard tolerance, sir," Mr. Park said. "Just barely, but it meets the requirements." "Standard tolerance is not what I asked for," Daewon said calmly. "I asked if it's aligned properly." Mr. Park did not know what to say. He stammered, trying to explain. A voice spoke up from behind them. It was respectful but clear. "It's off by 2 millimeters, sir." Daewon and Mr. Park turned. Jae-sung stood there holding a measuring tape. He looked nervous about speaking up, but he continued. "The measurement is within standard building codes," Jae-sung said, "but it's not perfect. If you look at it from the entrance where visitors will see it, the light will catch the seam differently. It will be visible. Not much, but visible." Daewon studied the young worker. The man wore dusty clothes. His hands were rough, but his eyes were sharp and honest. "And how would you fix it?" Daewon asked. "We can adjust the panel now before the adhesive fully sets," Jae-sung explained. "It will add about an hour to the work, but the seam will be perfect. No one will ever see it." Daewon looked at Mr. Park. The project manager's face was red. He was angry that a worker had corrected him in front of the owner. "Do what he suggests," Daewon said to Mr. Park. "I want it done right." "Yes, sir," Mr. Park said tightly. Daewon looked at Jae-sung again. "What's your name?" Daewon asked. "Jae-sung, sir." "Lee Jae-sung. How long have you worked in construction?" 12 years, sir." "And you always pay this much attention to detail?" Jae-sung looked uncomfortable with the attention. He shifted his weight. "I try to, sir," Jae-sung said. "I believe if you're going to do something, you should do it right. Even if no one else notices, you know. And that matters." Daewon nodded slowly. He studied Jae-sung's face for a moment longer, then walked away to inspect other parts of the lobby. Jae-sung let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Mr. Park glared at him. "Don't ever correct me in front of the owner again," Mr. Park hissed quietly. "I'm sorry," Jae-sung said, but he asked a direct question. "I had to tell the truth." Mr. Park walked away angrily. Jae-sung went back to work, hoping he had not just gotten himself fired. That evening, Daewon drove to Seo-yeon's apartment. He parked his expensive car on the street and walked up to the second floor. He knocked on the door. He heard Min-ho's excited voice from inside. "Daddy! Daddy's here!" Seo-yeon opened the door. She smiled at him. Despite their divorce, they remained friendly. They both loved their son. That was enough to keep things civil. "Hi," she said. "Come in. Min-ho has been waiting for you all day." Daewon entered the small apartment. It was nothing like his penthouse or his office. It was modest and comfortable, but it was filled with love. He could see that in every corner. Pictures of Min-ho covered the walls. His toys were organized in bins. Everything was arranged to make life easier for a child in a wheelchair. Min-ho sat in his wheelchair in the living room. His face lit up when he saw his father. "Daddy," he said, his speech slow but full of joy. Daewon knelt down and hugged his son. He felt the familiar mix of love and sadness. Love for this brave little boy. Sadness that he could not be here every day. "How's my boy?" Daewon asked. "Good. Daddy, I have to tell you something." "Something amazing." Daewon sat on the floor next to the wheelchair. He listened as Min-ho told him a story. The words came out slowly and were sometimes hard to understand, but Daewon was patient. He had learned to listen carefully. Min-ho told him about a man at the park, a balloon that flew away, a hero who climbed a tree. The story tumbled out with excitement. Min-ho's hands moved as he talked, acting out the parts. "And then he tied it to my chair so it couldn't fly away anymore," Min-ho finished. "He was so nice, Daddy, like a superhero but a real person." Daewon smiled. "That was very kind of him." "Wait," Seo-yeon said. "I took a picture. Let me show you." She picked up her phone and searched through her photos. She found the one from the park. She showed it to Daewon. The photo showed Min-ho in his wheelchair with the red balloon tied to it. A man knelt beside the chair, making sure the knot was secure. You could see the man's profile. He wore work clothes. He looked tired but kind. Daewon looked at the photo. Something about the man seemed familiar, but he could not place it. There were millions of people in the city. It was probably just a coincidence. "That was very kind of him," Daewon said again. "He wouldn't take any money," Seo-yeon said. "I tried to pay him, but he refused. He said he was just happy to help." "People like that are rare," Daewon nodded. He knew that was true. In his world of business, most people wanted something. A kind act with no expectation of reward was indeed rare. He spent the next 2 hours with Minho. They played games. They read a book together with Minho trying to turn the pages despite his shaking hands. They watched part of a cartoon. Simple things, but precious things. When it was time for Minho's bedtime, Daewon helped Seo-yeon get him ready. He helped Minho brush his teeth. He helped him change into pajamas. These simple tasks took longer with Minho, but Daewon did not mind. He tucked his son into bed. Minho looked up at him with sleepy eyes. "Daddy, do you have to go?" Minho asked. "I have an early meeting tomorrow," Daewon said softly. "But I'll come back soon. I promise." "Okay," Minho said. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, son. So much." Daewon kissed his forehead and turned off the light. He left the room quietly. In the living room, Seo-yeon was putting away toys. "Thank you for coming," she said. "It means a lot to him." "I wish I could come more often," Daewon admitted. "Work is just—" "I know," Seo-yeon said. She did not sound angry, just resigned. "I know you're doing your best." Daewon left the apartment and drove home. But he felt heavy. He made millions of dollars. He owned buildings and companies. But he could not give his son what he wanted most: time. Just time. He thought about the man in the photo. A tired construction worker who stopped his lunch break to help a child. Such a simple act, but it meant the world to Minho. More than all the money Daewon had spent on doctors and therapy. That night, Daewon lay in bed in his empty penthouse. He stared at the ceiling. He thought about what really mattered in life. And he wondered if somewhere along the way, in his race to build his empire, he had lost sight of what was truly important. 1 week later, Daewon returned to the lobby renovation site. He told himself it was just a routine inspection. He told himself he was only checking on the quality of work. But deep inside, he knew there was another reason. He wanted to observe the workers, especially the one who had spoken up about the marble seam. He arrived at 9 in the morning. The lobby was busy with activity. Workers moved carefully around the space. Some were installing new lighting. Others were polishing the marble they had already installed. The sound of tools echoed through the large space. Daewon stood near the entrance and watched. He did not announce himself this time. He just observed Jae-sung was working on the far wall. He guided 2 younger workers as they positioned a large marble panel. Daewon noticed how patient he was. When one of the young men made a mistake in measuring, Jae-sung did not yell. He did not get angry. He simply showed the young man the correct way to do it. "Always measure twice, cut once," Jae-sung said to the younger worker. "It takes an extra minute now, but it saves hours of fixing mistakes later." The young worker nodded and measured again carefully. Daewon watched this interaction with interest. Leadership was not just about giving orders. It was about teaching, about building others up. He saw that quality in this construction worker. Throughout the morning, Daewon continued to observe. He saw Jae-sung catch a potential problem before it happened. One of the marble panels had a small crack that no one else had noticed. Jae-sung spotted it and immediately told Mr. Park they needed a replacement panel. "That crack is tiny," Mr. Park said. "Once it's installed, no one will see it." "It will get bigger over time," Jae-sung explained. "Temperature changes will make it expand. In a few years, it will be very visible. Better to replace it now." Mr. Park was not happy about the delay or the extra cost, but he agreed. He knew Jae-sung was right. Daewon made a mental note. This worker had integrity. He cared about quality even when it was inconvenient. Even when it might make him unpopular with his boss. During the lunch break, Daewon approached Jae-sung. The younger man was sitting on a stack of materials, eating a simple meal from a plastic container. He looked up in surprise when he saw the owner of the building standing in front of him. Jae-sung quickly stood up. "Mr. Kang, sir. I didn't see you come in today." "Sit, please," Daewon said. "Finish your lunch. I just wanted to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind." "Of course, sir," Jae-sung said, sitting back down but looking nervous. "You've been in construction for 12 years? Daewon asked. "Yes, sir. I started when I was 20. I needed to support my mother. My father had passed away and she had no one else." "What does your mother do?" "She's retired now," Jae-sung said. "She has diabetes. She needs medication and care. I make sure she has what she needs." "That's admirable," Daewon said. "Many young men would not take on that responsibility." Jae-sung looked uncomfortable with the praise. She's my mother. She raised me alone after my father died. She worked 2 jobs to give me a good life. Now it's my turn to take care of her. Do you have any other family? Brothers, sisters? No, sir. Just me and my mother. And what are your goals? Do you plan to work in construction forever? Jae-sung thought for a moment before answering. I'd like to have my own small contracting business someday. Nothing big. Just a small team that does quality work. But that's years away. I need to save more money. I need more connections in the industry. For now, I just do my best at each job. Daewon nodded. He asked a few more questions about Jae-sung's work experience and his approach to construction. Then he thanked him and walked away. Jae-sung watched him go, confused about why the owner of the building was so interested in him. He hoped he had not said anything wrong. That evening, Daewon sat in his office. He could not stop thinking about Jae-sung's face. Something about it was familiar. He opened his phone and looked at the photo Seo-yeon had sent him. The photo from the park. The man helping Min-ho with the balloon. Daewon enlarged the image. He studied the man's profile. Then he pulled up the building's security camera footage from that morning. He found a clear shot of Jae-sung's face. It was the same man, the construction worker who had corrected the marble. Alignment was the same man who had climbed the tree for Min-ho's balloon. Daewon sat back in his chair. What were the odds? In a city of millions of people, the man who helped his son worked on his construction site. And Jae-sung clearly had no idea. He had never mentioned the park. He had never tried to use that connection. Daewon felt something shift inside him. This was not a coincidence. This was an opportunity. But he needed to be careful. He needed to know more about this man before making any decisions. He called his assistant, Ms. Choi, into the office. I need you to do something for me, Daewon said, and I need it to be discreet. No one can know about this. Of course, sir, Ms. Choi said. There's a construction worker on the lobby project. His name is Lee Jae-sung. I want you to gather information about him, his work history, his background, financial records, everything. Ms. Choi raised an eyebrow but did not ask questions. How soon do you need this? By tomorrow morning. I'll have it on your desk. Ms. Choi was efficient. The next morning, a thick folder sat on Daewon's desk. He opened it and began to read Lee Jae-sung, age 32, born in a small town outside the city. Father died when Jae-sung was 12 years old. Mother worked as a cleaning woman and a seamstress to support them. Jae-sung finished high school but could not afford university. Entered the construction trade immediately. Work history. Excellent. Every employer had positive things to say. Hardworking, reliable, skilled, never late. Never caused problems. Several employers had tried to promote him, but Jae-sung always declined. He said he was not ready for management yet. Financial records. Simple. He earned a modest salary. He sent a large portion to his mother's care. He saved a small amount each month. No debt, no credit cards. No loans. He lived within his means. Criminal record, none. Not even a parking ticket. Personal life, quiet. He went to work. He visited his mother every Sunday. He volunteered at a community center on Saturday mornings, teaching basic carpentry skills to at-risk teenagers. He had a few friends, mostly from work. No girlfriend, no wife. No children. Special notes. Co-workers described him as the kind of person who would give you his last dollar if you needed it. One former supervisor wrote, Jae-sung is the most honest person I've ever met. Sometimes honest to a fault. He won't cut corners even when everyone else does. Daewon read through the entire file twice. Everything confirmed what he had already observed. Jae-sung was exactly what he appeared to be, a good man trying to live a good life. But Daewon also saw something else in the file. He saw struggle. He saw a talented person held back by circumstances. Jae-sung had skills and intelligence. He had leadership qualities. But he had no opportunities, no connections, no way to rise above his current situation. Daewon thought about this for a long time. In his business, he encountered hundreds of people. Many of them were smart. Many of them were skilled. But few of them were truly good. Few of them had real integrity. Jae-sung had helped Min-ho without knowing who the boy was, without expecting anything, without asking for payment. He had simply seen a child in distress and acted. That was rare. That was valuable. That was the kind of character that money could not buy. Daewon made a decision. He would do something for Jae-sung, but he had to be careful. He could not make it seem like charity. He could not embarrass the man or make him feel uncomfortable. It had to be done right. Over the next few days, Daewon visited the construction site several more times. He watched Jae-sung work. He saw the same qualities every time: attention to detail, patience with others, integrity in every decision. One afternoon, Daewon saw Jae-sung stop a co-worker from doing something dangerous. The co-worker wanted to take a shortcut that would save time but could cause injury. Jae-sung refused to let him do it. They argued briefly. The co-worker called him overly cautious, but Jae-sung stood firm. "I'd rather waste 10 minutes than see you get hurt," Jae-sung said simply. The co-worker grumbled but did the work the safe way. Later that day, Jae-sung's crew leader approached him. The crew leader's name was Mr. Han. He was an older man who had been in construction for 30 years. "The owner has been here a lot lately," Mr. Han said to Jae-sung quietly. "He's watching you specifically. I've noticed." Jae-sung felt his stomach tighten. "Am I doing something wrong?" No, Mr. Han said. "Actually, I think it's the opposite. He seems impressed. But be careful. Rich men like that. Sometimes they have their own reasons for paying attention. Don't get your hopes up about anything." Jae-sung nodded. He did not let himself think too much about it. He just went back to work. That evening, Daewon drove to Seo-yeon's apartment again. It was his regular visiting day. Minho was always excited to see him. As they played together, Minho brought up the balloon incident again. He talked about it often. It had become one of his favorite stories to tell. "The balloon hero," Minho said, smiling. "He was so brave, Daddy. He wasn't scared of the tree at all." Daewon looked at his son's happy face. Then he looked at Seo-yeon. "Can I see that photo again?" he asked her. "The one from the park?" Seo-yeon pulled it up on her phone and handed it to him. Daewon looked at it carefully. Now that he knew it was Jae-sung, he could see the details more clearly. The kindness in his posture as he knelt beside the wheelchair, the care he took in tying the knot, the gentle smile on his face. "What is it?" Seo-yeon asked, noticing Daewon's intense focus on the photo. "I know this man," Daewon said quietly. "What? You know him?" "He works on one of my construction sites. He's been there for weeks. I had no idea until a few days ago." Seo-yeon's eyes widened. "That's incredible. What are the odds?" "Very small," Daewon said. "And what makes it more interesting is that he has no idea. He's never mentioned it. He's never tried to use it to get ahead. He doesn't even know Minho is my son." "Wow," Seo-yeon said softly. "That says a lot about his character." "It does," Daewon agreed. "I've been watching him work. He's exactly the kind of person he seemed to be that day in the park. Honest, kind, hard-working." "What are you going to do?" Seo-yeon asked. "I'm not sure yet," Daewon said. "But I want to do something. I want to thank him, not just for helping Minho, but for being the kind of person the world needs more of." "Just be careful," Seo-yeon said. "If you make a big deal out of it, you might embarrass him. Some people don't like attention." Daewon nodded. She was right. He needed to think carefully about how to approach this. That night, Daewon lay awake in his bed. His mind worked through different scenarios, different ways he could help Jae-sung without making it seem like charity, different ways he could show his gratitude without overwhelming the man. An idea began to form. It was not fully developed yet, but it had potential. He would need to think it through more carefully. He would need to make sure it was the right approach. But one thing was certain. Jae-sung had made a difference in Minho's life with one small act of kindness. Now Daewon wanted to make a difference in Jae-sung's life, not because he owed him, but because good people deserved good things, and maybe, just maybe, this was the universe giving him a chance to do something truly meaningful. Something that was not about money or business. Something that was simply about recognizing and rewarding genuine goodness. Daewon closed his eyes and made his decision. Tomorrow he would take the first step. Tomorrow he would begin to change Jae-sung's life. He just hoped he could do it in a way that respected the man's dignity and honored his character. Outside his window, the city lights sparkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there, Jae-sung was probably sleeping in his small apartment, completely unaware that his life was about to change. Completely unaware that one simple act of kindness at a park 3 weeks ago had set something in motion. It would transform his future. The morning, sun had barely risen when Daewon arrived at the construction site. He had not slept well. His mind had been too busy thinking about what he was about to do. He needed to talk to Jae-sung, but it had to be done carefully. It had to be done privately. The workers were just arriving. They carried their lunch boxes and tool bags. They greeted each other with tired morning voices. Daewon waited near his car until he saw Jae-sung arrive. Jae-sung got off the bus at the corner. He walked toward the site with his usual steady pace. His work clothes were clean but old. His boots were worn but well-maintained. Everything about him spoke of someone who took care of what little he had. Daewon approached him before he entered the building. "Jae-sung," Daewon called out. Jae-sung turned in surprise. "Mr. Kang?" "Good morning, sir." "Good morning. I need to speak with you privately. Do you have a moment before work starts?" Jae-sung looked worried. "Did I do something wrong, sir?" "No, nothing like that," Daewon assured him. "There's just something I need to discuss with you. There's a cafe across the street. Can you spare 15 minutes? Jae-sung nodded, though confusion showed on his face. "Of course, sir." They walked together to the small cafe. It was a simple place. Workers and office employees stopped there for coffee before starting their day. Daewon had never been inside before. It was not the kind of place he usually went to, but today it felt right. He ordered 2 coffees. They sat at a corner table away from the other customers. Jae-sung looked increasingly nervous. He wrapped his hands around the warm coffee cup but did not drink. "Am I being fired?" Jae-sung asked quietly. "No," Daewon said. "Actually, this has nothing to do with your work. Your work is excellent. This is about something else. Something personal." Daewon pulled out his phone. He opened the photo that Seo-yeon had sent him. He turned the phone so Jae-sung could see the screen. Jae-sung leaned forward and looked at the image. His eyes went wide. He saw himself in the photo kneeling next to a boy in a wheelchair, tying a balloon string to the armrest. That's me," Jae-sung said slowly. "At the park. A few weeks ago." "Yes," Daewon said. Jae-sung looked up at Daewon, confusion written all over his face. "I don't understand. Why do you have this photo? How do you—" He stopped. His eyes went even wider. "Wait, that boy. That was my son," Daewon finished. "His name is Minho. He's 7 years old. He has cerebral palsy. And you climbed a tree to get his balloon back for him." Jae-sung's face went pale. He sat back in his chair. His mouth opened but no words came out. Finally, he managed to speak. "I didn't know," he said quickly. "Sir, I had no idea that was your son, I swear. I wasn't trying to—" He stumbled over his words, panic rising in his voice. Daewon held up his hand. "Stop, take a breath. I know you didn't know. That's exactly why I'm here." Jae-sung took a shaky breath. He still looked terrified. "Let me explain," Daewon said calmly. "My assistant did a background check on you after I realized who you were. I know everything about you. Your work history, your family situation, your financial records, everything." Jae-sung's face showed hurt now, mixed with the fear. "You investigated me?" "I had to know," Daewon said. "I had to be sure. And what I found confirmed what I already believed. You had no idea Minho was my son. You didn't work on my construction site before that day at the park. You couldn't have known. You helped a disabled child simply because he needed help. You asked for nothing in return. You didn't even give your name to his mother." Jae-sung still looked uncomfortable. He stared at his coffee. It was just the right thing to do. Any decent person would have done the same. "But they didn't," Daewon said firmly. "There were at least 10 other people in that part of the park. I can see them in the background of the photo. They all kept walking. You stopped. You gave up your lunch break. You climbed a dangerous tree. You did all that for a child you didn't know." The boy was crying. Jae-sung said simply, "I couldn't just walk past." Daewon felt something tighten in his chest. This was exactly the kind of person he thought Jae-sung was. No excuses, no looking for praise. Just simple honesty. "Can I tell you about my son?" Daewon asked. Jae-sung nodded. "Minho was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when he was 18 months old," Daewon began. "The doctors told us he would face many challenges. They were right. His muscles don't always work the way he wants them to. His speech is difficult. His hands shake. Simple things that most children can do easily are hard for him." Daewon paused. He looked down at his own coffee cup. "His mother and I divorced 2 years ago. We still care about each other. We both love Minho, but we couldn't agree on how to handle everything. I thought making more money would solve things. Better doctors, better treatments, better everything. She thought I should be home more. She was probably right. I'm sorry, Jae-sung said quietly. I see him once or twice a week now, Daewon continued. I pay for everything he needs. But I know money isn't the same as being there. I know that. But my work, my company, it demands so much time. He seems like a happy child, Jae-sung offered. From what I saw that day, his mother clearly loves him very much. She does, Daewon agreed. She's an amazing mother. She gives him everything she has. And he has a good father too, Jae-sung added. Maybe you can't be there every day, but you provide for him. You make sure he has what he needs. That's important too. Daewon looked up at Jae-sung. Thank you for saying that. They sat in silence for a moment. The cafe bustled around them. Other customers came and went. But at their corner table, time seemed to slow down. Minho talks about you all the time, Daewon said. He calls you the balloon hero. He tells everyone the story. About the brave man who climbed the tree. About how you tied the balloon extra tight so it wouldn't fly away again. You made his day, maybe his whole month. Jae-sung's face softened. I'm glad I could help him. That's why I wanted to talk to you, Daewon said. I want to thank you. Not just for the balloon, but for being the kind of person you are, for having a good heart. You don't need to thank me, sir, Jae-sung said. Really? I didn't do it for thanks. I just did what felt right. I know, Daewon said. That makes it even more meaningful. Daewon leaned forward. Can I ask you about your dreams? You mentioned wanting to start your own contracting business someday. Jae-sung looked surprised by the change of topic. Oh yes, someday. It's a long way off, though. I'd need capital to start. I'd need equipment, connections, a reputation. These things take years to build. What if you could do it sooner? Daewon asked. I don't understand. What if you had the resources? What if you had backing from someone who believed in you? Jae-sung's eyes widened. Sir, I can't accept charity. I appreciate the thought, but it's not charity, Daewon interrupted. Let me ask you something. In the weeks I've been observing you at work, what have I seen? Jae-sung looked confused. I don't know. I've seen someone who catches mistakes before they become problems. Someone who mentors younger workers. Someone who refuses to cut corners even when it's inconvenient. Someone who values quality over speed. Someone with integrity. Daewon counted these qualities off on his fingers. These are exactly the qualities I look for in people I do business with. The qualities I value most. But let me finish, Daewon said gently. You helped my son. That brought you to my attention. But what I've observed since then has nothing to do with that. I've been watching you as a worker, as a leader, as a professional, and I'm impressed. Very impressed. Jae-sung did not know what to say. He just listened. I want to make you an offer, Daewon said, but I need you to understand something first. This offer is based on your merit, on your skills, on your character. Yes, I'm grateful for what you did for Minho, but I would not make this offer if I didn't believe you were genuinely talented and valuable. What offer? Jae-sung asked cautiously. I want you to meet Minho properly, Daewon said. I want you to come to his mother's apartment. Have dinner with us. Let him thank you himself. Can you do that? Jae-sung hesitated. Yes, I would be honored. Good, this Saturday. I'll send you the address. And then, after you've met him, after you've spent some time with us, I have a business proposal for you. But I don't want to discuss it until you've had a chance to see my son again and understand what your kindness meant to him. Sir, I don't need a reward for— It's not a reward, Daewon said firmly. It's an opportunity. An opportunity you've earned through your work. The balloon just opened the door, but you'll walk through it on your own merit. Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. He looked at Daewon's face, trying to read his intentions. Finally, he nodded. Okay, Jae-sung said. I'll meet Minho, and I'll listen to your proposal. But I need you to know something, sir. What's that? I won't accept something just because you feel grateful. I have my pride. If this opportunity is real, if it's based on what I can actually do, then I'll consider it. But if it's charity dressed up as business, I'll have to decline. I hope you understand, Daewon smiled. This was exactly the response he expected. This was exactly why Jae-sung was special. I understand completely, Daewon said, and I respect that. You have my word. This is business, not charity. They finished their coffee. Daewon paid for both cups. They walked back across the street to the construction site. At the entrance, they stopped. Saturday at 3 o'clock, Daewon said. I'll text you the address. I'll be there, Jae-sung promised. Daewon nodded and walked to his car. Jae-sung stood there for a moment, his mind racing. What had just happened? His whole life felt like it had shifted in the last 30 minutes. Mr. Park came out of the building and saw Jae-sung standing there. What are you doing? Get to work, Mr. Park snapped. Yes, sir, Jae-sung said. He went inside and put on his work gear. But his hands were shaking slightly as he picked up his tools. A coworker noticed. Are you okay? You look pale. I'm fine, Jae-sung said. Just a lot on my mind. He started his work, but he kept thinking about the conversation. He kept thinking about the photo. He kept thinking about the little boy in the wheelchair who he had helped that day in the park. He had just wanted to stop a child from crying. He had just wanted to help. He never expected anything like this. He never imagined that small act would come back to him in such an incredible way. But Daewon's words echoed in his mind. It's not a reward. It's an opportunity you've earned through your work. Could that really be true? Could something good really come from just doing the right thing? Jae-sung wanted to believe it. But he also knew the world was not always fair. Good people did not always get rewarded. Still, Saturday was only a few days away. He would meet Minho again. He would hear what Daewon had to propose. And then he would make his decision based on what felt right, just like he always did. Saturday arrived with clear blue skies. Jae-sung woke up early, even though the meeting was not until 3 in the afternoon. He had barely slept the night before. His mind kept going over what might happen, what he would say, what this mysterious business proposal might be. He looked through his closet. He did not own many nice clothes. Most of what he had was work gear, but he found a pair of clean black pants and a button-up shirt. They were simple and a bit old, but they were the best he had. He ironed them carefully. He wanted to look presentable. At his small kitchen table, Jae-sung worked on something special. He had spent the last 3 evenings carving a wooden toy truck. He used scraps of wood from the construction site, wood that would have been thrown away. With his carpentry tools and patient hands, he had shaped it carefully. The truck had 4 wheels that actually turned. The bed of the truck could tilt up and down. He had sanded it smooth so there were no sharp edges. He had carved small details into it. A tiny steering wheel, little headlights, even a small bumper. It was simple, but it was made with care. This was what Jae-sung did at the community center. He taught teenagers how to work with wood, how to create something from nothing, how to take time and make something beautiful. He was not a rich man, but he could share his skills. That was worth something. He wrapped the truck in newspaper and placed it carefully in a bag. He looked at himself in the mirror one last time. He looked nervous. He was nervous, but he took a deep breath and left his small apartment. The bus ride to Seoyeon's neighborhood took 40 minutes. Jae-sung arrived 15 minutes early. He did not want to be late. He walked slowly around the block, looking at the apartment buildings. This was a nice area, not wealthy but comfortable, safe, good for raising a child. At exactly 3 o'clock, Jae-sung knocked on the apartment door. He heard sounds from inside, a woman's voice, and then a child's excited shout, "He's here! The balloon hero is here!" The door opened. Seoyeon stood there with a warm smile. She was a pretty woman in her late 30s with kind eyes. She looked at Jae-sung with genuine gratitude. "You must be Jae-sung," she said. "Please come in. Minho has been counting down the minutes since this morning." "Thank you for having me," Jae-sung said politely. He stepped inside and removed his shoes. The apartment was modest but filled with warmth. Pictures covered the walls. Most of them were of Minho at different ages. Some showed him with his mother. Others showed him with his father. There were no pictures of the parents together, which made sense given what Daewon had told him about the divorce. In the living room, Minho sat in his wheelchair. When he saw Jae-sung, his entire face lit up like the sun. His hands started moving excitedly, though the movements were not very controlled. His mouth opened in a huge smile. "You came. You really came." Minho's words were slow and a bit slurred, but the joy in them was unmistakable. Jae-sung walked over and knelt down beside the wheelchair. He was at eye level with the boy now. He smiled warmly. "Of course I came," Jae-sung said. "I wanted to see how you're doing." And I wanted to make sure that balloon is staying put. Minho laughed. It was a wonderful sound. The balloon is gone now, but I kept it for 2 whole weeks. It was the best balloon ever. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jae-sung said. He reached into his bag and pulled out the wrapped wooden truck. I made something for you. I hope you like it. Minho's eyes went wide. His shaking hands reached out. Seo-yeon helped him unwrap the newspaper. When the wooden truck appeared, Minho gasped. It's a truck! A real wooden truck! The wheels turn, Jae-sung explained. And see this part? The back can tilt up just like a real dump truck. I made it from wood scraps. It took me a few days. Minho tried to hold the truck. His hands were shaking, but he managed to grip it. He moved it back and forth on the tray of his wheelchair. The wheels rolled smoothly. His face showed pure delight. It's perfect, Minho said. Did you really make this? Just for me? Just for you, Jae-sung confirmed. How did you make it? Minho asked, his eyes full of curiosity. Can you teach me? Jae-sung laughed. Well, it takes some practice, but I can show you the basics. Would you like that? Yes, please. Seo-yeon watched this interaction with tears in her eyes. She had seen many people interact with her son. Some treated him like he was fragile. Some talked to her about him instead of talking to him directly. Some used baby talk even though he was 7 years old. Some showed pity in their eyes, but Jae-sung was different. He talked to Minho like a regular child. He did not talk down to him. He did not use a special voice. He simply treated him with respect. That was rare. That was precious. Daewon had been standing quietly in the corner of the living room. He had been watching this whole interaction. He had seen Jae-sung's face when Minho smiled. He had seen the genuine warmth there. No awkwardness. No discomfort. Just natural kindness, Jae-sung, Daewon said, stepping forward. Thank you for coming. Jae-sung stood up and bowed slightly. Thank you for inviting me, sir. Please call me Daewon. We're not at the construction site now. Yes, sir, I mean Daewon. Jae-sung corrected himself, though he still looked uncomfortable using the first name. Seo-yeon had prepared food. She invited them all to the dining table. Minho's wheelchair fit easily at the table. She had designed the whole apartment to be accessible for him. Everything was at the right height. Everything was arranged to make his life easier. They ate together. The food was simple but delicious. Home-cooked Korean dishes. Rice, soup, side dishes. It reminded Jae-sung of his mother's cooking. It had been a while since he had eaten a meal like this. Usually he ate alone in his apartment or grabbed something quick between work shifts. During the meal, Minho talked constantly. He asked Jae-sung questions about everything. How tall was that tree at the park? Was he scared when he climbed it? Had he ever climbed higher trees? Did he have any brothers or sisters? What was his favorite color? Did he like dinosaurs? Jae-sung answered each question patiently. He told stories from his work that he made funny and appropriate for a 7-year-old. He talked about the tall buildings he helped construct. He explained how cranes worked. He described the time a pigeon built a nest in a window frame they were installing. Minho listened with complete attention. His eyes never left Jae-sung's face. Here was someone who treated him like any other kid, someone who shared real stories, someone who answered his questions seriously. At one point, Minho tried to drink from his cup. His hand shook and the cup started to tilt. Without thinking, Jae-sung reached out and steadied it with his hand. He did not make a big deal of it. He did not draw attention to it. He just helped naturally, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Then he continued talking as if nothing had happened. Daewon noticed this. So did Seo-yeon. They exchanged a glance. This was someone special. After the meal, they moved back to the living room. Minho wanted to show Jae-sung his toys. He had a collection of toy cars and action figures. But more than that, he had books about building and construction. He pointed to pictures of buildings and asked Jae-sung if he had worked on any of them. That one, Jae-sung said, pointing to a picture of a bridge. I worked on the foundation of that bridge. I was part of the crew that poured the concrete for the supports. It took us 3 months. Wow. Minho's eyes were huge. You're like a superhero. You make buildings and bridges. Jae-sung laughed. I'm not a superhero. I'm just a regular person who knows how to work hard. That's what makes you a superhero, Minho said seriously. Superman can fly because he's from another planet. But you do amazing things even though you're regular. That's better. The simple wisdom of this child touched Jae-sung deeply. He felt a lump form in his throat. He had never thought about it that way. After a while, Minho started to get tired. It was almost his rest time. Seo-yeon suggested that Minho should lie down for a bit. Minho did not want to. He wanted to keep talking to Jae-sung, but his mother was firm. Jae-sung will still be here when you wake up, Seo-yeon promised. Right? Of course, Jae-sung said. I'm not going anywhere. Minho reluctantly agreed. Seo-yeon took him to his room. Jae-sung heard her helping him settle into bed. He heard Minho's voice asking if this was all real. If the balloon hero was really sitting in their living room. Seo-yeon assured him it was real. When she came back, she sat down with Jae-sung and Daewon. Her eyes were misty. Thank you, she said to Jae-sung. You have no idea what this means to him. Or to me. He's a wonderful boy, Jae-sung said honestly. You've raised him well. It hasn't been easy, Seo-yeon admitted. People can be difficult. They see the wheelchair first. They see the disability. They don't see Minho. The real Minho. The smart, funny, curious boy he is. I see him, Jae-sung said simply. Seo-yeon wiped her eyes. I know you do. That's why this means so much. Daewon had been quiet during this conversation. Now he spoke. Jae-sung, can I talk to you outside for a few minutes? Of course. They went out to the small balcony. It overlooked a park. Children were playing below. The afternoon sun was beginning to lower in the sky. Daewon leaned against the railing. He looked out at the park, then turned to Jae-sung. What you did in there, Daewon said. The way you interacted with Minho. That's not something that can be taught. That's character. That's genuine kindness. He's an easy kid to talk to, Jae-sung said. No, Daewon corrected gently. He's not. Many people struggle with how to talk to him. Family members, friends, even some doctors and therapists. They get uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. But you just treated him like a person. Like a boy. That's rare. Jae-sung did not know what to say to that. I want to make you an offer now, Daewon continued. I promised you it would be based on business, not charity. And I meant that. So listen carefully to what I'm proposing. Jae-sung nodded, his heart beating faster. I want to offer you two things, Daewon said. First, a position in my company. Not as a construction worker. As a project supervisor. You would oversee teams, make decisions, manage quality control. The salary would be significantly higher than what you make now. Jae-sung's eyes widened. Sir, let me finish, Daewon said. Second, I want to invest in your dream. Your contracting business. I'll provide the capital to start it. The equipment. The connections. But it will be your business. You'll run it. You'll make the decisions. It will be a subsidiary of my company, which means you'll have support and resources, but you'll maintain independence. Jae-sung could not believe what he was hearing. It was too much. Too good to be true? Why? Jae-sung asked. Why would you do this? Because I've watched you work for weeks, Daewon said. I've seen your skill, your leadership, your integrity. I've investigated your background. I've talked to people who worked with you. Everyone says the same thing. You're talented. You're honest. You care about quality. These are the exact qualities I look for in people I do business with. But the balloon brought you to my attention, Daewon interrupted. But everything since then has been about your merit, about what you can do, about who you are as a professional. Do you understand the difference? Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. He looked at Daewon's face, searching for any sign of pity or charity. But all he saw was respect. Business respect. I need time to think about this, Jae-sung said finally. This is a big decision. It would change my whole life. I understand, Daewon said. Take the time you need. But I want you to know something. I don't make offers like this lightly. I believe in you. I believe you have what it takes to succeed. The question is, do you believe in yourself? Jae-sung thought about his mother, about his small apartment, about his dream of having his own business someday, about the years he had spent saving money trying to build towards something better, and now someone was offering to help him get there faster. Someone who had resources and believed in him. Can I ask you something? Jae-sung said. Anything. If I succeed with this business, will people say I only got there because I helped your son? Will they say I didn't earn it? Daewon smiled. People will say many things, but the only opinion that matters is your own. You'll know the truth. You'll know you earned it through your work, through your skill, through your character. What others think is their problem, not yours. Jae-sung nodded slowly. He looked out at the park below. Children were laughing, playing, living their lives without worry. I want to say yes, Jae-sung admitted, but I'm scared. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Then you fail, Daewon said simply, and you learn from it, and you try again. That's how life works. But I don't think you'll fail. I think you'll surprise yourself with what you're capable of. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Jae-sung extended his hand. Yes, he said. I accept your offer, and I promise you won't regret it. Daewon shook his hand firmly. I know I won't. 3 months had passed since that Saturday afternoon on the balcony. 3 months since Jae-sung's life had changed completely. Now he stood in a small office with his name on the door. Lee Jae-sung, project supervisor. The words still felt strange to him. The first few weeks had been difficult. When Jae-sung gave notice at his old job, his coworkers had been surprised. Some were happy for him. Others were suspicious. They whispered that he must have connections, that he must have done someone a favor, that nobody just gets promoted like that. Jae-sung had not defended himself. He simply finished his work, helped train his replacement, and left on good terms. He knew the truth. That was enough. His new position came with challenges. Some of the older project managers did not trust him at first. They saw him as the owner's pet, someone who got the job through luck rather than skill. Jae-sung understood their doubt. He would have felt the same way in their position. So he proved himself the only way he knew how. Through work. Through results. His first project was renovating an old office building. The previous contractor had done poor work. Corners had been cut. Materials were substandard. The timeline was behind schedule. Daewon gave Jae-sung this project as a test. Could he fix the mess? Could he bring it back on track? Jae-sung spent the first week just assessing the damage. He brought in his old crew leader, Mr. Han, as a consultant. Mr. Han was retired now, but agreed to help for a few days. Together they identified all the problems. They created a plan to fix them. Jae-sung worked alongside his crew. He did not just supervise from a distance. He picked up tools. He got his hands dirty. He showed his team that he was not above the work. This earned him respect. When they found a major structural issue that would delay the project by 2 weeks, Jae-sung did not hide it. He reported it directly to Daewon. He explained the problem clearly. He presented 3 different solutions with costs and timelines for each. He recommended the most expensive option because it was the safest and most thorough. Daewon approved it without hesitation. Quality over speed, he said. Always. The project was completed 1 week ahead of the revised schedule. The quality was excellent. Building inspectors found no issues. The client was happy. Daewon's company earned praise for the renovation. After that project, the whispers changed. People stopped saying Jae-sung was lucky. They started saying he was skilled, that he earned his position, that maybe the owner had seen something special in him. Jae-sung's success made Daewon's second offer possible, the contracting business. The dream that Jae-sung had been saving toward for years. They started small. Daewon provided the initial capital. Jae-sung used it carefully. He bought quality tools but not expensive ones. He rented a small workshop. He hired 3 people to start, workers he had known for years. People he trusted, people who needed opportunities. One of them was Young Min Seo, a young woman who had been trying to break into construction for 2 years. Most companies would not hire her because she was female. They said construction was man's work. Jae-sung hired her because she was talented and hardworking. She proved to be one of his best workers. Another was Park Tae-yang, an older man who had been laid off from his previous job. At 55, nobody wanted to hire him. They said he was too old. Jae-sung saw his experience as valuable. Tae-yang's knowledge saved them from costly mistakes more than once. The third was Kim Soo-jin, a young man fresh out of technical school. He had skills but no experience. No one would give him a chance. Jae-sung remembered being that young man once. He gave Soo-jin the opportunity he once needed. Together, this small team took on their first independent project. A family wanted to renovate their home, add a room, update the kitchen, fix the roof. It was not glamorous work. It was not high-paying, but it was real. It was theirs. Jae-sung and his team worked carefully. They communicated with the family every day. They stayed on budget. They finished on time. The family was so happy they recommended Jae-sung's company to their friends. More jobs came. Word spread about this small contracting business that did excellent work at fair prices, that treated clients with respect, that kept promises. 6 months after starting, Jae-sung's business was stable. Not rich, but stable. They had steady work. They had a good reputation. They were growing slowly and carefully. During all this time, Jae-sung maintained something precious. His friendship with Min-ho. He visited every Sunday afternoon. It became a routine they all looked forward to. Jae-sung would bring his tools and wood scraps. He would sit with Min-ho and teach him simple woodworking. They made things together. Small boxes, picture frames, simple toys. Min-ho's hands shook and his movements were imprecise. But Jae-sung was patient. He adapted the tasks to what Min-ho could do. He showed him how to sand wood smooth, how to apply glue, how to fit pieces together. More importantly, these Sunday sessions gave Min-ho confidence. He was creating things, real things he could hold and be proud of. His fine motor skills improved slightly. His focus improved, but more than that, his belief in himself grew. "I made this," Min-ho would say, holding up a wooden box with slightly crooked corners, his voice filled with pride. "You did," Jae-sung would confirm, "and it's perfect." Seo-yeon watched these sessions with gratitude. She saw her son's confidence growing. She saw him trying harder in his physical therapy because if he could make things with his hands, maybe he could improve his grip. Maybe he could control his movements better. Daewon came to these Sunday sessions whenever his schedule allowed. He watched Jae-sung and Min-ho work together. He saw a relationship forming that was not about money or obligation. It was about genuine connection, about mentorship, about friendship. One Sunday, Min-ho's grandmother came to visit. She was Seo-yeon's mother, a warm woman in her 70s. She met Jae-sung and immediately liked him. She watched him work with Min-ho for a while, then pulled Seo-yeon aside. "That young man is special," she said. "The way he is with Min-ho. So natural. So patient. Like family," Seo-yeon nodded. "He is special. He changed Min-ho's life, and ours too." Jae-sung also brought his own mother to meet Min-ho. She was a small woman with gray hair and gentle eyes. Her diabetes was under control now. With Jae-sung's improved income, she had better medical care. A part-time nurse visited her apartment to help with her medication and meals. Min-ho loved Jae-sung's mother. He called her Grandmother Lee. She treated him with the same natural kindness as her son. She told him stories from when Jae-sung was young. About the time he tried to build a treehouse and fell into a mud puddle. About how he once carved a wooden spoon for her birthday when he was 10 years old. These stories made Min-ho laugh. They also made him see that Jae-sung was a real person with a real history, not just the balloon hero, but a person who had struggled and worked hard and became who he was through effort. 8 months after the balloon incident, Jae-sung's contracting business received its first major independent contract. A local school needed renovations, new bathrooms, updated electrical systems, accessibility improvements. This contract was completely separate from Daewon's company. Jae-sung had earned it through his reputation alone. The school board had reviewed proposals from 10 different contractors. They chose Jae-sung's company because of the quality of his previous work, because of his fair pricing, because of his good references. When Jae-sung told Daewon about winning the contract, Daewon smiled widely. "This is what I knew you could do," Daewon said. "You're succeeding on your own merit now. You've proven you can stand alone." "I couldn't have done it without your initial support," Jae-sung said honestly. "You gave me the foundation. You believed in me when I didn't fully believe in myself." "That's what good business relationships are about," Daewon replied. "Giving people opportunities to show what they're capable of. You took the opportunity and made it into something real. That's all you. Be proud of that." Jae-sung was proud. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was not just surviving. He was building something, creating something, becoming someone. Min-ho's 8th birthday arrived in October. So-yeon and Daewon planned a party. They invited relatives, school friends, and of course Jae-sung. Jae-sung worked on something special for weeks. A custom wooden ramp for toy cars. It was elaborate and carefully crafted. The ramp had multiple levels. Curves and loops. Places where cars could race down. It was designed to fit perfectly on Minho's wheelchair tray. When Minho saw it, he could not speak for a moment. His eyes were huge. His mouth hung open. Then he found his words. This is amazing. This is the best present ever. Jae-sung helped him set it up. Soon Minho was racing his toy cars down the ramp. The other children at the party gathered around to watch. They asked to try. Minho was happy to share. For once, he was the one with the coolest toy, the one everyone wanted to play with. Later in the party, after cake and presents, after the other children had gone home, the adults sat together in the living room. Minho played contentedly with his cars nearby. Daewon raised his glass of juice. I want to make a toast. Everyone raised their glasses. 9 months ago, a balloon flew away in a park, Daewon said. A stranger climbed a tree to get it back. That simple act brought us all together. But what happened after was not simple. It was extraordinary, he looked at Jae-sung. You took an opportunity and turned it into success. You proved that character matters, that integrity has value, that doing the right thing, even small things, can change everything. He looked at Minho. And you, my son, found a friend and mentor who sees you for who you really are. Not your disability, not your limitations, but your potential. He looked at Seo-yeon. And you welcomed someone new into our lives with open arms. You recognized something special and nurtured it. Daewon's voice grew thick with emotion. I spend my days making business deals, moving money, building buildings. But this right here, this is the most valuable thing I've been part of in years. A genuine human connection, a real friendship, a life changed through simple kindness. They clinked glasses. Jae-sung felt tears in his eyes. He never expected this. When he climbed that tree, he was just trying to help a crying child. Now he had a new job, a business, a family that was not his by blood but felt like his by choice. Thank you, Jae-sung said quietly. All of you. You've given me more than opportunity. You've given me purpose. You've shown me that the world can be kind, that good things do happen to people who try to do right. Minho rolled his wheelchair over to Jae-sung. You're my best friend, he said simply. Not because you got my balloon, but because you're you. Jae-sung leaned down and hugged the boy. You're my best friend too, he said. That night, as everyone prepared to leave, Daewon walked Jae-sung to his car. Jae-sung had bought a used car with his new salary. Nothing fancy but reliable. It represented his progress. I want you to know something, Daewon said. When I first decided to help you, I thought I was doing you a favor. I thought I was repaying a debt for what you did for Minho. And now? Jae-sung asked. Now I realize you gave us more than we gave you. You gave Minho a role model. You gave him confidence. You showed him that kindness exists in the world. You showed me that success is not just about money. It's about character, about connections, about doing right by people. Daewon paused. I'm a better father now because of you. I make more time for Minho. I'm more present. I learned that from watching you. You make time for what matters. Despite your busy schedule, you come every Sunday. You never miss. That taught me something important. Jae-sung did not know what to say. He had never thought of himself as teaching anyone anything. He was just being himself. The balloon was never about the balloon, Daewon continued. It was about seeing someone choose compassion when it was not easy or convenient. That's rare. That's valuable. And I'm grateful our lives crossed paths that day. They shook hands. Then impulsively, Daewon hugged him. It was brief but genuine. Jae-sung drove home that night with a full heart. He thought about the journey from that day in the park to now. How one small choice had rippled out into so much change. He thought about his business. About his mother living comfortably now. About the workers he employed who had their own stories and struggles. About Minho learning to create things with his hands. About finding a place where he belonged. The next Sunday, they all met at the park. The same park where it started. Minho wanted to go there. He wanted to see the tree where the balloon had been caught. They sat on benches near the fountain. Minho had a new balloon, blue this time. It was tied securely to his wheelchair. It would not be flying away. Look, Minho said, pointing to the tree. That's where you climbed. That's where it all started. Jae-sung looked at the tree. It seemed smaller now than he remembered. Less intimidating. Just a regular tree in a regular park. But what had grown from that moment was anything but small. It was friendship, family, opportunity, purpose. You know what I learned? Minho said suddenly. His voice was thoughtful. more serious than usual for an 8-year-old. What did you learn? Jae-sung asked. I learned that sometimes when you lose something, you find something better. I lost my red balloon, but I found you. Jae-sung felt his throat tighten. This child had wisdom beyond his years. I learned something too, Jae-sung said. I learned that helping people is not about getting something back. But sometimes when you least expect it, helping others helps you too, in ways you never imagined. They sat together in the afternoon sun. Minho's blue balloon bobbed in the gentle breeze. Children played nearby. Life continued around them. But in this moment, in this circle of people who had been brought together by chance and kindness, everything felt exactly right. Daewon watched his son laugh at something Jae-sung said. He saw Seo-yeon smile peacefully. He felt the warm sun on his face. And he understood something profound. Success was not about the buildings he owned or the money in his accounts. Success was about moments like this, about the people you lift up, about the connections you make, about the lives you touch. A balloon had brought them together. But love, respect, and genuine human kindness had made them family, and that was worth more than anything money could buy.